Reading 137 from the Psychological Commentaries on the Teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky by Dr. Maurice Nicoll, Volume 3. Great Animal House, September 11th, 1948. A Note on Violence. Work idea. A man cannot do unless he overcomes violence. Violence always breeds violence. Doing by means of violence is not doing. All history, which is a history of crime, shows how violence cannot do in the work sense. War follows war. Commentary. On one occasion, Ouspensky showed us clearly that from the esoteric point of view, everything had to be done through the realization of how to do things, and this enabled one not to act violently. He said this does not mean acting from the sentimental reason of not forcing people, but from the standpoint of understanding how useless it was. In this connection, he said how the virtuous behavior of people is mechanical or sentimental because it is done merely for the sake of the behavior itself and not with the knowledge of why such behavior might be necessary. On many occasions, he spoke of mechanical behavior as distinct from conscious behavior. A man, say, is trained to behave in a certain way. In the case of mechanical behavior, this man behaves, therefore, as he must do, as he cannot help doing. It is mechanical, whether it is good or bad behavior. He may imagine he could behave otherwise, but when the situation arises, he behaves as he always does. Conscious behavior is only possible when a person has observed and separated from mechanical behavior, which lies in personality. A conscious man behaves from his understanding of what is necessary. Possessing will, he can will his behavior, but a mechanical man is governed from outside, that is, by external circumstances, and so cannot will his behavior in any particular situation from an independent source within. Now, as long as a man is governed from outside, he will not be able to overcome violence. Ouspensky said, violence is an emotional state in all people. Doing things with violence, trying to impose upon others, coerce them, and so on. Now notice that Ouspensky said that violence is the emotional state of all people, and reflect on what that means. People do not think they rest ultimately on violence. Yet, regard what happens in life now and historically. Who is the man or the woman who can say that their basis does not rest on violence? You may have charming pictures of being charming. Well, I advise you to look more deeply. And here I would add this. How can we conceive a person not ultimately based on violence? A man, a woman, that nothing would make violent? And so, for a moment, let us reflect on an early conversation of Ouspensky's about what a conscious man might be as apart from a highly developed mechanical man in life. In thinking of a great man, a conscious man, we tend to think of a larger life man. He would be a larger man, simply a larger mechanical man, a giant, so to speak. But this is a quite wrong idea of what a conscious man would be, because a conscious man is a different man from a mechanical man. He is not larger, stronger, more wealthy, and so on. He is an utterly different kind of man. He is a man not based on violence. That is, he is a man of another kind, who is not interested in or affected by what interests or affects a mechanical man. In fact, he might appear a very ordinary man, yet ruffle even his hair, and he does not mind, because he is passive to violence. Violence does not govern him, and so there is nothing in him to catch hold of. No jealousy, no envy, no hatred, and so on. Why? Because he is a different man from us, and his center of gravity is not outside him. Is he then imperturbable? Why, if the house is falling down in an earthquake, he would probably run out of it first. Yet he is not based on violence. We can therefore, at our small level of understanding the work and what the difference is between a mechanical man and a conscious man, realize that a conscious man never acts from violence. And so, in this exercise of self-study, observe the part that violence plays in us, and from this deduce whether we are near the conscious circle of humanity or not. Now, as Ouspensky taught, violence from the esoteric standpoint is useless. What does the esoteric standpoint mean? It means that from the standpoint of the conscious circle of humanity, from which comes all esoteric or inner teaching, violence is the sign of a mechanical man. And the mechanical man, however many rituals and creeds he follows, is incapable of reaching a high level of being unless he has worked and again worked on his violence. Understand, there are no results through violence. Violence breeds violence, with all its hatreds, revenges, jealousies, envies, and so on. Is this not a formidable factor to face in one's work on oneself? I would say so from my own experience with myself, and I hope you understand that we have experiences in life and experiences with ourselves, and they are different, and the work is mainly about one's experiences with oneself. I would say that we have to deal with this lunatic and tramp called oneself. Yes, an interesting study. I once said to myself, reviewing how I had behaved violently on a particular occasion, "It is obvious I am a tiny bit a mad person to behave as I have done." You will understand that through the power of the work I actually could see myself in the wrong. But I assure you that if you are only in the power of life, you will never see that you are really wrong, and so will continue to act from open or latent violence.